Let me tell you about the story of the first painting I did. Interestingly, I didn't do any painting at school. Just didn't do it. It wasn't part of having stuff when I was a kid. We did colouring in and drawing, but I can't remember doing painting until I was about this time. But I didn't know I could paint. But this is the first painting that I did. Now, just a little bit of the story for this one. When I was 13, just before Christmas, I was walking down past the shops, a big general store in a small town. A couple of thousand people live there. And there was this box of oil paints. Now, I always knew or thought is probably the wrong thought, but I thought that artists used oil paints, and anyone who didn't wasn't an artist in those days. And the reason I thought this is because a friend of mine down the road in another town before I moved to this town had a sister who was painting with oil paints, and she was doing portraits using a kitchen knife. And so I thought, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know I could paint. I had no idea. I tried paint by numbers with oil paints on a warship, little funny stupid kit when I was in grade 2, and it was horrible. And I know now that the paint in that kit was really horrible. I couldn't have painted anything good with it regardless. But I had this thing that oil painting, I didn't know if I was any good at painting, drawing, or anything at this stage. But I saw this set of paints and I thought, wow, I want to paint, and I'm going to get that. And so I had to talk Mum into getting my sisters to buy this little set of paints at $2. It was $2. Now in those days, $2 was enormous. I only had 20 cents a week pocket money, so that was a lot. So I had to go, wow, I really want this set of paints, Mum. And I look in the shop and it was there, and look in the shop and it was there, and then it wasn't there, and I thought, oh, I missed out. And Christmas Day, I opened up my present from my sisters, and there was the box of oil paints. I was over the moon. So what did I do? Christmas afternoon, went out to the backyard, grabbed some paper, and I painted with what did I use? There was a brush with, I don't know, I must have had a brush, I think. But I painted these two trees in the backyard. Now, you know me now, you'll know I'm a tree painter. But I painted these two trees, and one was a small shrubby bush with sort of red flowers on at Christmas time. It looked pretty nice. And the other was a big silky oak with orange flowers, and I painted that just on paper. And they looked pretty good. In fact, my parents and everyone saw it and said, oh, wow, that's pretty good, Russell. Okay, that's fine. Well, that was good. Christmas went. Next couple of days, or sometime between there and New Year's, or my birthday, must have been after New Year's, because this has got 1972 on the bottom signed. Sometime in that time, Mum and Dad had gone off and left my sister in charge of us, and I thought, I've got to paint. I really want to paint. So I found a book, and there was this photograph in the book of a Black Friday fire. Now, Black Friday, I think in Australia was 1969, I think. So about 3 years earlier, and this book had this incredible photo, and I thought, I've got to paint, but what do I paint on? And this friend of mine down the road, his sister, painted on masonite or board, so I grabbed this piece of masonite, and it just was sitting there in the house. It was the size I had. I grabbed a kitchen knife from the kitchen, because I thought that's what you painted with, and I painted. Now, these were little tubes of paint. As you can guess, I used up all the vermilion, I used up all the yellow, I used up all the black, and I used the yellow oak around the outside. So by the end of doing this, I'd used half of my paints. And I thought, okay, well, that's pretty good, but I liked it. So when Mum and Dad came home to the smell of oil paint, and they saw what I had done, they were amazed. I thought, wow, not a lesson, nothing, just bang, straight out this painting. So they were impressed enough that Dad, and this is saying something really big, that week, Dad went back into town, the big town, about 30 mile away, and bought me some replacement oil paints to replace the colours and the things I'd used up. Now that was big, because I tell you what, we didn't have a lot of money, and we were actually on the poor end of town. But he bought these paints for me in the bigger 40mm tubes, and from that moment on, I painted every day when I got home from school. And for the next 4 years I painted. Now, so what's exciting is that in the box in front of me are some of my early paintings. And I didn't always use a kitchen knife. I progressed up to what's called a palette knife, which has got a little more skill and a little bit more finesse in it. But I did use a kitchen knife for quite a while, and I still have that kitchen knife. It's pretty special to me.